away from. Never mind.
Don't forget, it ain't the first 48 with 60 minutes.
Come with the king, best not miss. Even the score now, we need to score now. Back on that wall, when you hear that call, you know it's going down. We play from beginning to ending, you know how we finish. Turn to the bank, gotta handle our business. We need the ball, so it's time to go get it. Play with your heart when you hit, make me feel it. You know I'm with. Come to the bank and get out of line, we sending a blitz. Said, who you with? You know I'm with. That purple and black, and when we attack, you know what it is.
You're now locked into Zone 32. 32.
Spent a little longer than the afterlife than I wanted to. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Zone 32 podcast. Birds aren't real, and we have a trio in here tonight. My name is Jake. His name is Drew. His name is Will. We got time. Say what's up to whoever's watching.
No.
I'll find that. See, they don't fucking like you. So anyway, Ardarius Washington.
Somebody already commented?
Yep.
Oh. I told him the Red Sox are going to beat the Royals.
He's pissing his pants as we speak.
Yeah, you're the pants pisser out of everybody here. Oh, get out! There we go. Our boy Christian Campbell.
Fuck baseball.
Yeah, fuck you. 9-7 Red Sox. Top of the 11th inning. I told Jabba that the Red Sox are going to take 2 out of 3 from the Twins or from the Royals, and then he didn't believe me, and then it happened. So credit to me. I'm always right. So we should go into our Ardarius Washington from Drew always being right, because I was right about our first round pick as well.
It's fucking right. So, yep. Other than that major meltdown, which he argues is deep fake, it's all good. But anyway, Ardarius Washington, fucking free agent this year. They offered him a right of first refusal tender. He eventually accepted, even using his feelings on Twitter, only to discover he popped his Achilles. So he's out for the year, making the Malachi Starks pick look a lot smarter. So, Drew, apologize!
I mean, just credit to me for keeping it together on draft night and knowing that, even though I really wanted Mike Green, that the right pick was Malachi Starks, and that, we're just better off for having taken the safety in the first round and then getting Mike Green in the second round. Anybody who shares tweets or videos that state otherwise, that I wasn't a fan of the Malachi Starks pick to begin with, is lying. I'm just going to get out in front of it now. There's a lot of deep fakes going around the internet. AI is blowing up. Will's a big fan of using Grok. Jake is, electronic
How you
guy.
say his name? You say Grok?
What the fuck am I supposed to say? Grok?
I think it's Grok.
It's Grok.
Why the fuck would it be Grok?
Yeah, why the fuck would it be
There's
Grok?
no A in there. It looks like fucking Grok.
G-R-O-W-K. It's G-R-O-K. It's Grok.
Now, if it was Grok, it'd be G-R-O-A-K.
Well,
like
I'm going to ask
a lot
him
of
right
words.
now how he pronounces his name.
I pronounce a lot of words weird, but I'm pretty
or
confident it's Grok.
O-A-K.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
But yeah, anyway, anybody who says that I wasn't happy about the Malachi Starks pick is just lying to you. So don't trust anything you see on the internet, because it's all fake news. The media's after me, but no, I mean it worked out great. We still got Mike Green. We now have another safety. It's kind of funny that when the Ravens look like they're set out of position, specifically secondary.
It is Grok. It is Grok. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, I pronounce a lot of words wrong, but that's not one of them. So
I just figured it would be pronounced weird because of Elon. I thought it would have some weird, like, Scandinavian shit or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Elon's a strange guy, so it kind of makes sense to expect him to not do normal shit. But Yeah, I mean, just credit to me for nailing the Starks pick and saying that that was the best move that the Ravens could make at the time. Um, and again, anybody who thinks that I didn't say that is lying to you. So yeah, it sucks for Darius too. Like, he was. This is the problem with having a small safety like that. Like those guys just tend to be more injury prone. I know Achilles are not something that you can really like train to prevent, and that's not really a size based thing. But it just seems like those little guys always get hurt. So
I think it's worth mentioning. Maybe Ardarius popped his Achilles today because of you.
why?
What happened yesterday?
We don't talk about it. Didn't happen.
Hmm?
Didn't happen.
Oh,
Prominent
Jason
Achilles
Tatum.
tear happened yesterday.
yep, Jason Tatum.
Yeah, but
Fucking
why would it be
Celtics.
my fault? Because I was unhappy with the Tatum Achilles tear. So why would I
You
be
brought your
then?
negative Achilles energy to the Ravens.
Look, I threatened suicide on Twitter. I got bullied by Tommy Quinlan and some other jackasses who are Knicks fans.
He
And
put you in a fucking body bag.
well, I mean that was my fault. I prematurely stomped on his grave at halftime. I probably shouldn't have
Yeah,
done that.
I was very unlike you. I don't know what
I
happened
did it
there.
in private. He's not. He's an AM radio host. I didn't think he'd have the wherewithal to screenshot that and sit and wait. So, um, credit to him. He got this one. They're probably going to win the series too because Tatum's out. But whatever, it is what it is. Celtics were supposed to repeat, and then this fucking Ghost Runner shit is ridiculous in Major League Baseball. I cannot stand that they do this fucking Ghost Runner bullshit in extra innings. Like, it just gives me extra heart palpitations that I don't fucking need from this team. Why the fuck is Greg Weitzer out there throwing another fucking inning? Alex Cora. Whatever. Yeah, so fucking Red Sox got smoked yesterday. Fucking Tatum tears his Achilles, and now I got to deal with Darius Washington tearing his Achilles. So, bad things come in threes. I'm sure something fucking horrific's going to happen here. Sure, Javier Baez
Bad
going
day
to
to
get like a
be
900-foot walk-off home run.
bad day to be Drew.
Sox going to blow it, dude. Yeah, I know. This is how this fucking Red Sox team functions. At least I'm not an Orioles fan. That's the only upside here.
I mean, you're not wrong
That's
about
fair.
that.
He literally just hit a 3-run home run to fucking walk it off after I said that. Somebody fucking clip that shit. I fucking said it 10 seconds ago. This dickbag gives up a fucking walk-off 3-run home run.
Damn it. Good
Bring him
timing.
out for his fucking
That's
second
great.
inning extra. Ugh. You guys cry about Brandon Hyde all the time. Alex Cora is a fucking terrorist. Fucking tired of this retard managing the bullpen.
Well,
I mean, hold on. Didn't he like lose his job, lose his job, and then they just gave it back to him?
Yeah, I mean he quit. They fired him because of the whole Astro shit, and kind of were just like take the fake COVID year off, and then they brought him back. I mean, they won in 2018 because they had a fucking loaded roster. Like Helen Keller could have managed that fucking pitching staff and bullpen. There's nothing that he did that was cutting edge there. They had all the fucking.
Was he the
talent in world.
manager?
Yeah, he was the manager in 18. Farrell was 13, and then they had a whole bunch of fucking slapdicks between them. And then it was fucking.
I thought the Astros shit for Cora was like during the Nationals run.
No, Cora came over before that actually all like exploded.
Oh, because they won in 2017. The Astros.
Yeah. So Cora was there for 17, and it was Hinch, and then Hinch is now the fucking Tigers manager. I'm sure they're fucking cheating, and that's why they knew what pitch was coming. But seriously, why the fuck do you leave that loser out there for a fucking second inning? Whatever. People think I get mad over the Ravens.
VD already turned off the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure VD loves watching me melt down. I lose my mind way more over baseball than I ever do over fucking anything football related. But this is, yeah. So I got fucking torn Achilles. I got the Red Sox blown out yesterday. I got Darius tearing his Achilles today. And the Red Sox blowing a game in fucking 11 innings today. So, who's got it better than me? Nobody.
There you go. Well, from two people wanting coaching changes in baseball to a coaching change actually happening in football, Sam Cooke is no longer with the Ravens. He wasn't a specialties coordinator. He was a kicking consultant, some shit like that.
So did he say some
specific
shit?
Job title.
Did he say something like in defense of Tucker? I read people making comments about that. I didn't really understand where it came from, but
Not that I'm aware of.
I wasn't aware of it either. But there were like 3 or 4 tweets in response to like, "This is what happens when you back your guy," and I'm like, I don't remember. I forgot Sam Cook was even a coach, so
Right.
until he got let go. I also think that again, kicking sucked last year. Our punting has been subpar since he retired, so yeah, I don't really think we're losing much with him leaving. Those who
Nope.
can't do teach, and so he was a great punter. So obviously, you can't teach Stout how to punt. You know what I
Well,
mean?
and I'd be totally happy if we purged the entire special team staff.
I mean, you have been the most vocal Chris Horton hater of all time. So
He fucking stinks.
I
Every
don't
season,
I
every
don't think
fucking
most people
season, we
know who he
deal with
is.
this bullshit, these stupid fucking issues every year, and then it's like, oh, okay, it gets cleaned up late in the season, but dude, it's fucking special teams. It should be clean all the time.
I also feel like our approach to special teams in general is kind of like ass backwards. Of like Harbaugh uses it as like a training ground for guys to earn snaps, and so you get players out there who aren't always the most qualified for their position. Like I think it was Trippy actually brought it up a couple weeks ago on the podcast that Tylan Wallace like was never a kick returner before he came to Baltimore, and
Yep.
now all of a sudden he's shoved into the kick returner role. You have guys like Chris Board or Justice Hill who are just kind of hard nosed football players who make special teams work, but that's not a talent that a lot of guys have. A lot of people view special teams as like grunt work and that they want to actually play their position that they were drafted for, and they don't view special teams as an opportunity, so they kind of fucking mail it in, and it shows up. You know what I mean? And like I
Yep.
feel like that's why our special teams has always struggled. And yeah, they don't coach it well. I don't understand why Harbaugh was a special teams coach, before he was ever a head coach. Like that should be the one facet of the game that we should dominate in, and we just don't for whatever reason. So I'm fine with him gone.
100%.
Chris Horton can go. Anybody involved with special teams can fucking go at this point. Um, let's start fresh and
A
get them
couple
to
of
do it
years
right.
ago, it was the strength and conditioning staff that needed a purge, and they did it, and it's been a huge improvement since then. So I think we have to look at the special teams the same way.
For whatever reason, the Ravens are too loyal to coaches that don't work anymore.
Yeah, they always go at
Specifically,
least 1 year too long, if not
yeah,
not
and
2 years.
I don't ever understand that approach. Like I feel like this year with our defensive staff, there was like Chuck Pagano came in and Mallory left, and there were good changes that were made, but I also feel like the hires last year were sort of our defensive staff got rated, and so we just kind of grabbed whoever we could, and so that's why we made those changes there. But when it comes to guys that they actually want and actually hire and have like a plan and plan it out and bring them on the staff, like they're way too slow to move on from them. I
Yep.
don't really understand why. I feel like it hurts the team overall when they do shit like that. So I'm glad that they moved on from Cook. I don't know. Again, I've read it was a mutual parting of the ways. I read that he's just not coming back. Really don't know what happened. But again, we sucked at kicking, so fuck them.
Yeah, I mean, and who knows? Okay, maybe whatever change they make, we see Stout be a little bit more effective, in his role.
The weird
No.
thing with Stout too is that like he has a way better leg than he shows off in game.
Yeah, yeah. His net is way low, and
And I
I
just
think that's not an ability thing; it's a coaching thing. I think part of the reason they drafted him was I think he had a really high percentage of kicks inside the 20-yard line, punts inside the 20-yard line as a college kicker.
yeah, so he had more
And
space to kick
our
his field
starting field position kind of sucks on punts, so it's not an ability thing, but more goes into that net outcome than just the kick. So you can't really just make it a punter thing. But again, that goes back to my original point of like, I think we got to gut the special teams coaching staff and start fresh there. And we've needed that for two full seasons, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean you better off to just start somewhere and do it. I see Patrick Ford is in the comments
Yeah,
going
yeah.
going ape shit. Pillsbury Pat,
Well,
as people have been calling him on the internet. Not me, but other people have
he's
said that.
scared of my girlfriend.
And he's scared of the Ravens fans in general. Made a very poor decision to remove me from a bracket.
He's
And
scared. He's scared of the power a girl has to influence the outcome of his brackets.
yeah, I know. I don't really understand why he doubted me. I told him, "Don't put me in if you don't want me to win," and then he did it anyway. And then I started
He
winning.
made
He's
you
like,
a
"Oh,
30 seed and try to talk. Yeah,
she intimidates me." What do you say? Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's I like Pat Ford. He just, he kept trying me. He was like, oh, they don't scare me, and I'm like, all right. I mean, this is your funeral, pal. And he, this is twice now. He's thought that he could get the better of the Ravens flock, and it just didn't happen. Tried to stash it in the something. I don't know what is next.
There it is. So, just to pivot to go into other the AFC North news, I wasn't around for the Pickens conversation last week.
Before we get to any other AFC North teams, I have a statement for Kyle Van Noy. If for some reason he stumbles across this podcast, stop going on fucking television, you jackass. Stop doing your podcast. Stop tweeting. Just get off the internet and get ready for the season. Don't understand why every year we seem to have these players who are like, I don't even know if like fame whores is the right word, but I'm not angry that he didn't put Lamar in his top 5 or said Lamar had to play better for them to win a Super Bowl. It's like the optics behind it. And it's just completely tone deaf and stupid to put that shit out there and then have people react to it and then be like, well, I didn't fucking do anything. It's like, just don't give people the opportunity. You're a fucking football player, so just play football. Stop going on ESPN. Stop giving people clips. You know how many fucking Bengals and Bills fans are going to tweet that stupid fucking graphic of Kyle Van Noy pointing at his top 5 quarterbacks and it doesn't have Lamar Jackson in it? Like, nobody wants to see that shit
All of
every
them.
year. Yeah, but you fucking give people ammo and then you're like, well, why is everybody mad at me? And it's like, because you gave people ammo, you idiot. Like, just don't do that. And then he acts surprised that we're like, fuck off. And there are people who are taking it way too far and like want to cut him for it. I don't think it was Lamar slander. I think it was.
I mean, we saw the same tweet. That was so fucking stupid.
Yeah, like I think that it was. I think he was being playful, but the problem is that months later,
well, he even said, yeah. I mean, yeah, he even said that, but it's very easy to clip it and change the context. So I understand what you're saying.
Right. Nobody is going to post that with context. They're going to post it with, to push their own narrative. So don't give them ammo. I like him. I think that he's an experienced winner. I think that's somebody that we kind of need on the roster, but like, get out of your own way sometimes, buddy. Or, he made the extension comments about, he's talking like J.J. Watt. And you and I talked about this. I don't think he was talking about the Ravens and an extension with them. I think he's smart enough to know that he's 34 years old and he's not going to get a long-term commitment from anybody. And I think that was more of a shot at Bill Belichick and the Patriots from his time there. But because you posted on Twitter with no context, without directly saying the Patriots, people are going to read that and be like, "Oh, trouble in paradise." KVN's unhappy with his current Ravens contract, and it's like, just stop giving people opportunities to do that. It's not smart. It's the same shit that I used to get on Bateman for. The same shit I hated Hollywood Brown for. Like, just shut up. Shut up and play football. That Laura Ingraham woman with the shut up and dribble comment was like, got killed for that because it was political, but she's kind of right. Like, sometimes players need to just shut up and do their jobs. Get out of their own way.
I mean, just devil's advocate. I understand what you're saying, but again, he is 34. He knows damn well he's one, unproductive or injury season or whatever. He's one. This could be his last year any year.
One injury March season.
Well, it's just basically his career could change very quickly right now at this age. based on what he does, and he's coming off. I think last year was his career high in sacks. So
It was.
he, obviously he's going to keep playing as long as he can, especially if he's performing at the level he's been performing at, and he's going to get paid. I think he gets a 1-year deal coming if he can replicate what he did last year or come close to it. He'll probably get a 1-year deal that's close to what he got for 2 years on these last 2. So he's putting himself in a good position, but he's also, I think, with this stuff where he's on mic and he's making, basically like clickable content, he's basically positioning himself for a good paycheck after football. I think that's really all that's happening.
It's his life. He can do what he wants. But, like, if he doesn't want the internet back and forth shit, because he's the kind of guy who gets, I don't know if pissy about that is the right word, but he definitely fights back with fans. Like, if you don't want people in your mentions saying, why the fuck did you say this about Lamar? He got pissy in Sarah Ellison's mentions about the videos, like, oh, y'all didn't understand the context. It's like, the context doesn't matter, man. Like, just don't say it. If you're not ready for the pushback and the people tweeting you shit, then don't fucking open your mouth in the first place. And I feel like, I shouldn't be like lecturing a professional athlete, but it's also fucking stupid to see people say shit like that. Like, the fact that he didn't understand why it was taken the way it was is just bizarre to me. And again, when you look at that list, it's got Patrick Mahomes, that's the guy that sent you home in 2023 in the AFC Championship game. It's got Joe Burrow, who's a division rival that's never beat you. And then it's got Josh Allen, who's the guy who just sent you packing last year. And then you make some quip about Lamar and, he's my guy. I don't want to give him too much credit. Like, really wasn't that funny and just gives people ammo that doesn't need to exist. So, or again, the contract extension stuff, like, nobody fucking cares about your contract, man. I hate to break it to you, but, like, most of us don't really give a shit about players' contracts. There are some people.
I really do feel like he's commenting more in a broad sense. Like that right there, I think was an example of what I'm talking about, where he's putting something out there that is more what you're gonna see from him when he retires from playing. And it's because, like, the Trey Hendrickson stuff, which we're gonna talk about. He has insight into that is unique because he's on the other side of it. He's on the side of it that Trey Hendrickson.
Is it really all that unique, though? I mean, like,
well, it's unique that in that, like, how many people ever have experienced it firsthand as an NFL player?
I mean, we killed the running backs for their little, fucking Zoom powwow.
But running backs wanted to go from making $10 million a year to making $20 million a year.
But this is a 34-year-old guy that wants to go from getting 1 to 2 year deals to getting.
He didn't say that, though. He didn't say that,
but that's how it comes off.
I don't think it comes off that way, but I can see how people would make it like that. I think he's really just he's putting his own experience, and he's a 34-year-old NFL veteran, so he's been through a lot of the different stages of that career path. So I think he's just adding some context to it. And Trey Hendrickson is 28. I think
he's the kind of guy who should be complaining about not getting a contract, not fucking.
But all Kyle Van Noy, I think, is doing is, like, advocating for him in his position. That's all.
Right, but why are you advocating for a division rival again? So it gets back to the same thing.
I mean, you think about it, he's advocating for Trey Hendrickson to not play.
Yeah, and then he's
unless
also
he gets paid fairly. So that's
an all-time
good for us.
douchebag in JJ Watt. So that's the other problem too. If you ever find yourself in agreement with JJ Watt on Twitter, like, most people are going to hate you. Just, it is what it is. Just an all-time, fucking clueless idiot. Him and his scumbag brother can go fuck themselves for all I care. But yeah, so just a brief PSA. Just a brief PSA to Kyle Van Noy: get the fuck off the internet and television, and just focus on football, man. Your current job is to be an edge rusher for the Baltimore Ravens and win the 2025 Super Bowl. I don't really give a fuck what you want to do with the rest of your career. So, focus on what matters, and that's winning this year. Be my
I have no doubt that he is going to be ready. So
maybe somebody should fracture his eye socket before the year, and then he'll ball out to start the year again. People forget he put up like 7 sacks with one eye.
He had like 2.5 sacks in one game. I think the game after the eye got broken.
Yeah,
Yeah. Against
and
the Raiders.
I kept saying he'd break the all-time sack record if people would just continue to fracture his eye, but nobody wanted to do that. I wasn't going to fracture his eye because he'd kill me, but somebody who's bigger and stronger than I am should definitely fracture his eye, and then we'll be in good shape.
I
Do we
think
want to
that
get into?
I do think that when he does he makes the whole transition out of playing to being in media, he's going to be good on TV. Personally,
I mean, maybe this is just like a old man yells at cloud sake, but I find most former players and shit, like, they're all the same, you know? Like, congratulations, you played in the NFL. I get it. Like, you have brief moments of clarity, but the rest of it is just this, like, pompous, arrogant way of talking to fans, being like, well, I know more than you because I played football. Like, yeah, I get it, buddy. You played in the NFL. Like, fuck off. I mean, it's LaShawn McCoy, it's Acho, it's all these guys. They all talk the same way. I feel like KVN just going to be another one of those.
whoa,
But
whoa. We're not going to
what?
put LaShawn McCoy and Emmanuel Acho in the same category of they played and they're in media.
Why? They all talk the same.
Because LaShawn McCoy had a real career and Acho did not.
Right. Marcus Spears, you talk about.
There's a lot of guys who I think that they have more credibility because of the fact that they had a successful NFL career. It's when you have guys like Dan Orlovsky who has a career like 10-13 record and was on some of the worst football teams of all time and has one of the worst highlights of all time, and he's somehow the authority on fucking NFL football. Like, okay, he like, people were clowning on the Ravens signing Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush has a better NFL pedigree and resume right now than Dan Orlovsky does as a person who hasn't played football in 10 years.
Yeah,
worse.
But again,
Dan Orlovsky stole that take from Thomas. Still really fucking funny.
Yeah.
True.
Crazy. So like,
I mean,
they give a platform to people who, like, okay, and those same people love to say, like, just hypothetically, they would say, me and you don't know what we're talking about because we never played in the NFL. Fair enough, I guess, but I don't know how much more credibility you gain from being a loser in the NFL with basically like a hilariously short resume than having none at all, versus like guys like LaShawn McCoy, who's like, I think he's probably all pro player, right?
If like Randy Moss is criticizing a wide receiver, valid, because you're Randy Moss. You're you're probably the greatest wide receiver to ever play football. If you're just like a one-time All-Pro and you're like criticizing Lamar, or you're criticizing Mahomes, or you're criticizing one of these like elite players, it's like, what's the difference between you doing that and me doing that? Because you're criticizing somebody who is clearly more successful than you were on the field.
But to me, there is still a difference between LaShawn McCoy weighing in and Dan Orlovsky weighing in, just because the two of them had very, very different experiences as professionals.
Yeah, I mean, one didn't get bullied out of town by Chip Kelly, and one did. So,
one got bullied out of the end zone.
Yeah, that's true, by Jared Allen. Great clip.
Yep.
One doesn't wash his towels, because he thinks that
while
he's
maintaining 6 feet worth of distance before COVID.
One thinks that it's okay to go multiple days without showering in the summer if you swim in a pool. One doesn't.
Yeah. So, I think there's a sliding scale with some of these. I mean, I get your overall point.
Yeah, it's just like, I just find most of those players to be run-of-the-mill, fucking talking.
I find KVN to be a likable guy, just in general. When I've seen him in a lot of different ways. Sometimes it's just like he's doing some sort of Ravens media. Sometimes he's doing like a podcast appearance or whatever, and then sometimes it's more official, whatever. He's a likable guy. He has a lot of experience. He's been on a lot of good teams. He's won championships. And I just think his insight is valuable, more valuable than other former players that have a platform.
Yeah, I just
Acho being the guy I'm thinking of right now.
Yeah, again, Acho is willing to mix it up on Twitter and not get emotional with, noted assholes, and Kyle Van Noy is not. So I would give Acho.
Well, we'll see. He's still a player right now.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, again, I've gone back and forth with Acho multiple times, and he's not ever gotten upset with me. So
I mean, I think KBN as a player would, especially if he has aspirations to be in media, him not doing that now is probably smart.
yeah, I mean, him just not being on the internet would be smart. I would advise most players to just log off the internet and don't.
No, I agree with you on that. The players should close their replies and not mix it up with fans.
Yeah, not I mean, again, because we're you get into the J.K. Dobbins, Rashad Bateman territory of like getting upset when people have differing opinions of you, and I'm not trying to see that. I'm not trying to deal with that all year. Speaking of players who are mentally soft and unable to function in normal society, George Pickens is out of the AFC North.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Unfortunately, our resident Pickens fanboy Grant is not here.
How convenient.
Yeah, no show just like George Pickens does for most games. But I digress. I have made the take on Twitter several times now. People are not thrilled with it. That David Ojabo is clearly the better pick out of the two. Ojabo's still here, and Pickens had to be removed from his team because he was such a cancer. So,
well, the counter argument to that will be, will David Ojabo make the 53-man roster? And I'm not
David
so sure.
Ojabo, you cannot take it away from him, is on a Hall of Fame pace on a per snap basis. I've had to repeat that a million times.
Except for when he's a healthy scratch in the middle of the season because he hasn't played well at all.
Yeah,
2 years
irrelevant to this metric.
Per snap. Irrelevant.
George Pickens is going to have a better season statistically than David Ojabo this year.
Not on a per snap basis.
How do you know that?
On a per snap basis, yeah.
I have faith.
Pickens and Jerry Jones are going to be fucking brawling in 50-yard line at some point this year. Because George Pickens is going to be looking for a fat check, and he's just
statistically. That's the thing, though. He'll probably get a second contract from somebody. David Ojabo, no.
Yeah, I mean, when Ojabo, has a Zadarius Smith, Pernell McPhee.
He's going to be out of the league selling insurance.
He's okay, but Pickens, they can't pay him what he's.
They can't. But
because
CeeDee
Lamb has a gigantic contract. Dak Prescott has the most ridiculous QB contract besides Deshaun Watson in the NFL. So they can't afford to pay George Pickens.
No.
George Pickens George Pickens is going to get something like DK Metcalf got.
Maybe 30.
I don't know. I think we'll get more. I think he's going to get like $30 million a year. He's going to get a Brandon Ayuk contract, I think.
I don't think so, because given what he was traded for, not much of the rest of the league thinks highly of him. So, I mean,
that's true.
Grab him for a third-round pick. I feel like he's viewed the same way Deontay Johnson was, as a talented guy who's a fucking head case and can't.
Okay,
can't
well,
keep it
let's see what he does this year. Because he has good production. He doesn't have elite production. This is why I compare him to Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk doesn't really have any crazy great year, but everybody sees the same thing when they watch him play. He's also kind of a fucking crazy person.
If you compare Ayuk's stats to Pickens' stats, I'm sure Ayuk shits down his throat. I mean,
I don't think so, dude. I think they're close. I think they're really close.
I just
don't. I would look that up, but and I really don't think the rest of the league views George Pickens.
They're very similar players too, in my opinion. I think they play their game is pretty similar.
I mean, look, I don't remember a situation where Brandon Ayuk pulls himself out of games and doesn't carry blocks and says dumb shit to the media about.
I don't know, man. I think you got blinders on. Brandon Ayuk is kind of a headache.
Maybe, but I don't think that he's the same caliber of headache as.
I don't know
George
that
Pickens.
Anybody is. George Pickens George Pickens is all those fucking idiots that Grant hypes up, rolled into one. In terms of he's actually the bad parts in personality, but he's actually good. So he's the one guy that Grant got the skill set right, but on the other side of things, he's such a fucking dickhead that it's a limit. His audience for who is going to be willing to tolerate that is limited, but at the same time, he has the numbers.
The baggage with him outweighs the talent, and that's why teams don't want him. I mean, it's the same thing
teams. There will be a couple teams that do want him, and that's why he will get paid. Hold on. I'm gonna pull these numbers up. I'm gonna do it.
I just don't know who's going to
So
pay.
Pickens has never had a. He's had one. Let's see. His best year doesn't compare to Ayuk's. He's never had as many catches in the 2 years that Ayuk did in 2022 and 2023. Ayuk has a better catch percentage. Like Pickens has been okay. Like 800 yards his rookie year, 11 and change in 2023, which I couldn't fucking believe. I didn't
In a
think he was ever a
pass-heavy
1,000-yard
offense.
receiver. Yeah,
So-
but that was also a bad offense.
I mean, how many of
Who
these
had-
guys from the Steelers go elsewhere and don't do shit? You know,
That's true too.
Chase Claypool, Mike Wallace, like a bunch of these guys, you know, that are very good.
Mike
for the
Wallace
Steelers.
did have 1,000 yards after he left Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but if you
He
look
had
at
a
his
1,000-yard
numbers,
season.
if you look at his numbers with Pittsburgh versus, you know, Juju is another one. Deontay Johnson. I mean,
Antonio
you know,
Brown, technically.
yeah, he was again a head case, so he's got a lot of
Yeah.
Pickens vibes.
Okay, so Pickens in 3 years, 2,841 yards. So we're talking about 928.41 divided by 3. So 947 yards a season. He's got 12 touchdowns, so he's averaging 4 per
4
year.
touchdowns a season.
Okay. And then Ayuk is 4,305 yards and 4,305 divided by 5. 861. So Pickens averages more yards per season. 25 divided by 5 is 5.
More touchdowns.
So 5 touchdowns. So it's 5 versus 4. And Pickens averages 2 full yards more per reception. It's really close. And like you said, one is a bigger headache than the other. But as far as compensation is concerned, if you have more than one interested team, that's where it's going to end up. He's going to be. I think that's going to be sort of like the target landing spot for Pickens when he's looking for an extension. That's why. And the only reason I say that is because I doubt that the Cowboys are going to give it to him because they just paid CeeDee Lamb. They paid
unless they get rid of
Dak.
That's the only way that they'll.
Who the fuck is going to take on that contract though?
I think they have an out on his contract. I'm not 100% sure though.
I think that'd be stupid by them too. I don't think Dak Prescott is the issue with the Cowboys.
No, but I think that Dak has kind of reached his ceiling there, and Jerry Jones.
I guess, but like, him reaching his ceiling doesn't. Okay, I hate this idea that the quarterback has reached his potential. Yeah, well, if they haven't won the Super Bowl, he plays at a high level, in my opinion. He's I think most people would say he's probably a top 10 quarterback. He's around top 10, if not inside of it, a little bit outside of it, but he's fine. But you can win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott if you have the rest of the fucking roster in order, which they don't.
Well, and that's the problem is then you look at Dak's salary number, and that hampers their ability to build the rest of the roster. And so you get into the, point where is Kirk Cousins at $8 million a year better than Dak Prescott at $60 million a year? Probably. You know what I mean? In terms of
I don't disagree with that. His contract.
That's what I feel like Dak is.
His contract is not his fault. It's the Cowboys are fucking idiots.
100%. Yeah.
They've paid him a dumb contract twice.
Yeah. And, now the Cowboys are the ones who have to clean up that mess. So I feel like he's got to be the one on the chopping block. Whether it's right or wrong doesn't really, like you said, it's not Dak Prescott's fault that the Cowboys gave him that contract. But now him having that contract is a hurdle for them building the rest of their roster. So I feel
I could see Dak Prescott go be like a really successful quarterback in like Seattle or, some stable place, relatively stable. Like I was surprised to see that Warren Sharp tweet with all the, years below 500 in the last 10 years. Seattle was at the top of the list with Pittsburgh. Only one season. Actually, the top of the list he tweeted it twice. The first time he was wrong. Top of the list was Kansas City has not had a losing season in the last 10 years. And obviously neither is Pittsburgh. Yeah. Originally he had Pittsburgh with 1. So Pittsburgh and Kansas City and then Seattle has only had 1. And that surprised me just because in my brain I feel like they haven't really been very good. But
when they
just haven't been really bad, that's all.
Yeah, and also you got to look back at like the 2015 NFC West. Like that was not a very good division then. So they kind of benefited from being in a cupcake division. They had a great defense and
Actually,
bad
I think the last year that that they had a losing season, they actually made the playoffs, and that was the
the Marshawn Lynch.
2010.
the
Yep,
Marshawn
hold my dick.
run.
It was that
The,
season.
what was it called? The
Hold my dick. He
Yeah.
fucking jumped in the end zone
well,
and
they called it something
ball.
else, something Quake, because there was like a fucking
Beast
earthquake.
Quake, yeah. That's
Beast
what they
Quake.
called it.
Yeah.
Because he was beast
So I
mode.
think that because they made the playoffs as a 7-9 team that year.
Yeah, and then they beat
Yep.
the Saints.
Yeah.
This kind of gives a good transition from non-poverty franchises to the definition of a poverty franchise, the Cincinnati Bengals.
The Kings.
Before you go in, Drew, I do gotta say, the Bengals are doing it exactly right. You gotta spend so much money on skill players that aren't gonna benefit you, especially when your quarterback's on his back. Just bravo, keep doing what you're doing because that's fucking brilliant. Mike Brown just got to put up an OnlyFans or something in order to keep paying these players. So, fucking bravo. Keep eating your chili spaghetti and keep fucking your sister, you creepy bastard.
So I just want to be clear: the Bengals are poor, like cash poor. Okay, this is not a salary cap argument because you can fit three players making $120 million AAV under the cap, no problem. The issue is that Mike Brown cannot fund the escrow account because all guaranteed money has to go into an escrow account. And the reason why he can't pay Trey Hendrickson is that he does not have the cash to fund that escrow account. So this is the Bengals being a poverty franchise. This is why they only feed their players 2 meals a day. This is why they have to walk across a highway to get to their practice facility. This is why, Paycor Stadium is a fucking dump. Like, they don't have any money. And we very specifically said this on this podcast. Signing T. Higgins and Jamar Chase for the kind of money that they did while already having Joe Burrow under contract was going to ruin that franchise because they have a poverty owner.
Well, and then and as soon as that happened, then the conversation originally immediately shifted to Trey Hendrickson. They're going to pay him $35 million a year, or whatever the going rate was based on what Myles Garrett got. Because Trey Hendrickson is right there. Like when you talk about production,
he's very good. Yeah, and
he's really good.
The problem is that they could pay him $35 million a year cap wise. If he was willing to take, little to no guaranteed money and just get like a paper contract that says you're going to make $35 million a year and it's going to be all tied into bonuses and shit, like they could get away with that. But why would he do that? Right.
Right.
That's the
he's already he has 1 year and $21 million fully guaranteed right now. So basically what he's saying is, and today, I think they said he spent 25 minutes talking to reporters, just letting it rip. And his whole point was, okay, the team last year, the reason that he played to get to this point was the team said, keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to be rewarded for it, as he should. And it's their fault that they let it get to the point where Myles Garrett got that contract before they got things squared away with Hendrickson, because I think they probably could have gotten him for 30 before Garrett got.
Even then, I don't think they could have afforded 30. Again, we're talking about funding.
Yeah. You can. The Bengals are good. Their money people are good at structuring contracts in a way that works out for them.
Because they have such a low budget that they're this is all we can afford, so fucking take it or leave it.
No, exactly. But they would have had a lot more leverage and a much more willing counterparty in the deal if they had done all this towards the end of last year, or how about during the playoffs?
Yeah.
Get it done right then. Get it knocked out and get something on the books. They had to know some crazy fucking number. If it wasn't Myles Garrett getting it to stay in Cleveland, it was Myles Garrett getting it to go to fucking Buffalo or Philadelphia or somewhere like that.
Or it was going to be Micah Parsons, or it's going to be Max Crosby. It's going to be somebody.
Right, and Max Crosby's. I think Max Crosby got 35 and Myles Garrett got 40. So that's where Hendrickson's like, well, I need to get somewhere in the range of 35 to 40, or I'm not fucking playing for the
Yeah, and
Bengals.
So his point today of like if he only got, I think his direct quote was, if I only got 4 sacks, they'd be asking me to take a pay cut.
Yes,
And
exactly, and he's right.
He's right. And so he's got a limited earning window. He wants to get as much money as possible. He wants the franchise to make good on the promise that they made him. I totally get where he's coming from. From a player standpoint, like, I don't know if holding out's the way to do that, but again, it is what it is. Like, the Bengals aren't going to be able to pay him. I think he had to know that.
You know what he's doing? He's doing the Carson Palmer.
Yeah, get rid of me because somebody else is going to pay me.
Yeah,
and so
because he's not George Pickens. Every other team that had like Washington is probably ready to knock down the door right now. They have a ton of fucking money to give away.
Yeah, and they have a ton of picks, and they have a cheap quarterback, and they want to cash in on his,
exactly. So
cheap.
They're a juicy partner for the Bengals, but
the Lions
as soon as
are in the mix.
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, that would be fucking embarrassment of riches up there.
They'll fucking pay him. I know.
Yeah.
They're a team that has not been good forever and are looking to get over that hump. And I feel like that's, a route to do it. It's, again, you and I poked fun at this group of morons on Twitter today, but like, the Ravens fans who are like, yeah, see, this is why you pay your position players. This is why you don't overpay your wide
That was our entire fucking point. That all that money they invested is in 3 offensive skill position players, and they still don't have an offensive line. And they were like, we're also about to extend Trey Hendrickson. Okay, yeah. You know what? Didn't somebody over there claim that the fucking T. Higgins deal was done 3 years ago or some crazy, like 2 or 3 years ago?
That guy also doesn't pay his taxes per sources, so I don't know if we should.
Right. So, like, why do you think that if you were hearing conversations about that extension that long ago, because I don't doubt that he heard that something was some conversation was happening, but why do you think it didn't get done? Because the fucking organization is cheap as fuck. They cut corners as much as they can. This is the difference between, this is almost every team, if not every team, except for the Bengals.
So I have a question for you.
It is their family business. That is their family business. The Bengals are the family business. Every other team, these owners, they buy a team after they're already billionaires. Right. It's not, like it's a pet project for them. They do it. They love it. It's fun. It's not something where if it loses money that they're going to be broke.
It's a status thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So you say the Bengals are cheap. My counter argument to you is if you see a homeless guy on the side of the road drinking store brand soda or fucking store brand bottles of water, are you calling him cheap or are you just saying you're poor? Because that's the problem with the Bengals. It's not that they're cheap; it's that they don't have the money to do these kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
they have an operating budget, and it's year to year. Like that's why I said, like it's a family business.
We kill Steve
Biscotti small
sometimes because he doesn't come out of pocket for players.
Biscotti.
You know what I mean? Biscotti. He's got his fucking whatever he made all his money on. He's got all his fucking yachts. And people get on him for not coming out of pocket to make the big signings. And that's because he has the money. You know what I mean? Like his net worth is very high. And he sometimes won't spend that money.
I'm pretty sure he's worth like $4 or $5 billion. Yeah, he's got the money.
He's got the money, and sometimes he doesn't spend it how we want him to. The problem with the Bengals is Mike Brown doesn't have the money.
Right.
And so, like...
And the money he had to commit to 2 players.
Yeah, and
that's why, like, even the T. Higgins deal is smoke and mirrors. It's a 1-year deal.
It's a 1-year deal, but that's still $30 million that he's got to put into an escrow account next year. He's got to put $40 million for next year, or even more than that for Jamar Chase. He had to put, $200 and something million in that escrow account for Joe Burrow. Like,
right.
He doesn't have any money left. And Cincinnati's a, poor loser city. So it's not like he's raking in cash from those games. Like, those are poor redneck idiot fans that don't have money, that aren't, fucking funding his bank account. So they're fucked. And we said this, they're fucked. And then everybody was like, nope, this is smart. They know how to treat Joe Burrow. They know how to give him the weapons he wants. Well, now you have no defense. You know,
Also,
no
the
Trey
funniest
Hendrickson.
thing about that, what all those people saying that was when they re-signed Chase and Higgins. Supposedly, people thought they signed Higgins for some like long-term deal, and they basically just signed him to like they upgraded his franchise tag.
Franchise. Yeah.
The funniest thing about that was those same people will tell you that EDC and the Ravens in general can't draft wide receivers. So who the fuck are you saying we should have done this with? I don't track the logic on this at all, because there's who have we let get away on the offensive side of the ball that we shouldn't?
Again, this is like a never-ending argument with stupid people, because the problem is that they don't actually have any points. They just shift the goalpost.
Right.
And so when you say, who did the Ravens not draft? Who did they miss on? They're like, oh, well, because they suck at drafting, and that's why. But then it's they don't pay their players, and they're cheap. And it's like, you wanted to pay like Hollywood Brown $40 million a year, you're dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In my
Hollywood
lifetime,
Brown, who is on year-to-year contracts now.
Yeah. The only guy the Ravens have drafted wide receiver wise in my lifetime that's like worth anything is fucking Zay. You know? And he's going to get paid. And like, if they don't pay him, then we can have that conversation about them being cheap. But the reality is they haven't paid anybody worth, they haven't drafted anybody worth paying. So why are we doing these semantics over,
Well, and we can even
shit?
add on to how like hilariously stupid it is that they even take this approach to the conversation, because we have extended players. I mean, obviously one of them's fucking Lamar Jackson, so that kind of blows up the entire argument from the get-go. But we've also extended guys on the defensive side of the ball, and those are guys you draft, you hit on them in the draft, you extend them, they're productive players, and the same people complain about paying defensive players. Why do you complain about paying defensive players?
Well,
Why?
and again, that's because of Warren Sharp. He posts his out of context salary per group, and people don't really seem to grasp that. Like, we've got 4 rookies on the offensive line, so it's cheap.
Right.
Doesn't mean that we don't care about protecting Lamar Jackson. It means that we've invested draft capital in that position.
Yep.
And then we put a ton of money, like, because we didn't have to invest actual cash in the offensive line, we then can overpay Roquan Smith. And people don't
what
seem
Warren
to
Sharp should have to do?
Warren
Warren Sharp
That's
should have to post, okay, here's what the current year salary cap allocation is for this position group, and here's the projected when they are off rookie deals. Or
here's the problem with
their 2026 and their 2027. Here's their projected, because like that could put some context behind. You're talking about an offensive line with 3 or 4 guys who are on rookie deals, because offensive line is going to be the one that's really going to carry a lot of the weight in terms of salary cap commitments when you're talking about guys who are off rookie deals. And then you go to wide receivers, a huge one. So like we have $18.1 million committed to against the cap, committed to wide receivers this year.
Yeah, and we basically
that's because
DeAndre Hopkins' head and said, "Hey,
we have DeAndre Hopkins cheap as fuck. We have a guy in his second year. We have a guy who we just got on like Tylan Wallace. I don't even know what the fuck you call the contract he got, but it's his second contract, but it's basically a rookie fucking contract. And then you have Zay Flowers on a round 1 rookie deal, and Rashad Bateman on one of the more team-friendly wide receiver deals you're ever going to see in your fucking
Rashad
life.
Bateman on my agent doesn't know the NFL bylaws, and I got fucked.
Yeah,
and the Ravens threw me a lifeline deal.
So we got $18.1 million invested in a really good wide receiver group, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I'm not calling it like top 10 in the league. It's probably, I don't know, it could be top 10, but there's top 10 potential. But I'd say it's probably top 12. It's just outside the top 10, and we're 28, I think, or 29 in commitments on money. So I think that is a sign that your GM is doing things the right way. And then with the offensive line, if you have a low paid offensive line with the best running team in football and the best running quarterback in football, and a quarterback who just put up a 41 touchdown, 41-4? That's what we had?
Yeah.
Yeah, 41-4. Yeah, I think the offensive line is whatever you're getting out of that offensive line for what you're paying, you're fucking crushing it. So like,
we can.
I don't understand how it cannot possibly be a negative.
We've gone from like rational discussion about where the Ravens struggle and issues they've had as a team to like EDC is the worst person on the planet. And I feel like people try super fucking hard to have these, hot polarizing takes that aren't really necessary. What did VD say?
Thoughts on the Canes signing the number 1 recruit in the nation?
I don't watch college football, so I have no opinion on that.
Nobody cares. That's my thoughts on that. No, if you win a national championship anytime soon, come talk to me. Because right now you and Will are just lagging far behind my program in terms of recent national championships. Just 2 loser schools. But yeah, I don't know why our fans in particular want to like blame EDC for everything. Like they try way too hard to come up with these weird ass scenarios where he's some horrible GM and he's not.
Well, and taking the Warren Sharp, 1 through 32 of how much money you've committed to a position group, and that's all you're looking at is fucking so stupid.
Well, and it's Warren Sharp who's got an axe to grind with the Ravens on top of that. So like,
but it doesn't like he's listing 32 teams. I'm not going to say he's singling us out, but I'm saying people who cherry pick that and say, "Oh my God, EDC is only spending $18.1 million on the wide receivers." Dude, okay, you have to do a little bit more research and see what they're getting out of the receivers for that money, because it doesn't matter what you pay them; it matters what you get from them. If you're getting production from the wide receivers, then who gives a fuck how much they're getting paid?
I mean, that's the age-old argument, because then they'll point out, oh, Roquan Smith's overpaid. Look at his production versus what he's paid, and it's like, but then you're
fucking all pro.
Well, no, but I'm saying that like for them, they want to pay $20 million a year for sacks. Like that's the defensive stat that moves the needle for people. And so like, well, Roquan Smith doesn't force turnovers or get to the passer. Fine, whatever, you can have that argument. Okay. But then like you want to go throw $20 million a year at some shitbag pass rusher who's not going to give you what you want anyway, just to say that you paid a pass rusher $20 million.
And then you have no middle linebacker. You have no Mike. But
yeah.
Also, remember the Ravens defense before Roquan Smith? Because I do, and it was fucking ugly.
Yeah, I mean, again, our fans are just not intelligent.
Middle of the field was the Autobahn. Fucking CJ Uzama getting 200 yards through the air.
We gave up a 28-point lead in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, to put a nice little bow on this episode, I think R.I.P. Adarius Washington's Achilles.
We may never see him play a game for the Ravens again.
Yeah, he might be done. Goodbye, Sam Cook. Goodbye, George Pickens, you fucking loser. David Njoku's better than you.
Yep.
And the Bengals are poor.
Wrong.
What's wrong? Which point that I made is wrong?
Njoku's not better than George Pickens, and George Pickens is a mid-receiver. David Njoku's on his way out of the NFL.
I mean, Njoku's not a better wide receiver than George Pickens.
Yeah, that's fair. But player for player.
If you can come up with a valid argument. Hold on. David Njoku, we're all in agreement on a per-snap basis on a Hall of Fame pace. Yes or no?
Yeah. Yes.
Healthy scratches skewed that in your favor.
Yeah,
and when you're getting healthy scratch, no, that is a caveat.
No. Hey,
if you're healthy and you're saying, "Hey, don't play," that's all that needs to be said. Especially when you're looking at the odd man out in this current outside linebacker.
Communismville, but again, on a per snap basis, is David Njoku on a Hall of Fame pace? Yes or no?
I have no idea.
Is anything about George Pickens Hall of Fame caliber?
No, of course not.
Okay, so David Njoku is better than George Pickens. Thank you.
Negative, because David Njoku is about to be out of a job.
That's not, again, that has nothing to do with what I said.
That has everything to do with it.
On a per snap basis, David Njoku is a Hall of Famer right now, and George.
If his career ends today, he's going to work at McDonald's.
Yeah, and if George Pickens' career ends today, he's probably going to prison for beating up handicapped people. So
That's fine too, but he's done more in the
McDonald's
NFL
are
than
McDonald's
David
workers are
Ojabo has.
taxpayers. McDonald's workers are taxpayers, contribute to society, and people in prison don't. So again, point David Ojabo.
Yep.
Again, just wasted pick.
David Ojabo, better player, better human, better draft pick.
Better human, maybe better player. No, the Achilles did him wrong.
I mean, again, what about George Pickens' Hall of Fame caliber?
What about David Ojabo's Hall of Fame caliber? Don't give me the per snap basis because he hasn't played. He hasn't played.
But
He
again,
hasn't played. What the fuck do you mean?
Break down his
Hey,
stats per
Drew,
snap.
Drew, who is this?
No idea.
Dalton Culp. What a fucking
I didn't know
loser
he.
name.
This has got to be
Yes.
some fucking weirdo from your universe.
Yeah.
So I guess he doesn't like the
I would
Vikings.
assume this is the weirdo that posted pictures of his kid last night and then, fucking went off the rails.
That guy.
Yeah. His real name's Michael Rennie.
He took a break from having diarrhea at people's wakes.
Shouldn't even have. Yeah, he didn't have diarrhea. He clogged the toilet. So it was definitely solid. So that false will. Please correct the record. He did not have diarrhea. He clogged the toilet. You asshole. Of somebody who hated him too. That's the wildest part of that story. It
would be pretty impressive to clog a toilet with diarrhea.
It wasn't a wake. It was like a family gathering at the family home. So their 31-year-old child just died, and they're mourning. They're going through a lot of shit. Their kid hated him, and then he still felt the need to show up and clog their toilet. Just all-time scumbag. One of the worst human beings in existence. He can, fucking go die in a fire for all I care. But yeah, I'm sure that's him. Because this is what he does with his free time. Fucking loser. But all right. I think we've covered everything.
There you go. Just to be clear, he said Hall of Fame pace, correct?
Pace. Yes.
So he has to continue with that to actually get into the Hall of Fame, correct?
Yes.
That's how paces work.
That's how paces work. George Pickens continues on his current pace, and he's not a Hall of Famer on a per snap basis. So
agreed. Problem is, David Ojabo's pace is going to end in September. But anyway, that's going to do it for this week. We'll be back to discuss this, that, and the other, and I guess talk about going 17-0 after the schedule's released. But meanwhile, it's time for me to die.
Hold on. You heard it here first. The Ravens are going to be in Cleveland Sunday, September 7th at 1 p.m.
All right, I got a hard take. The Ravens will be in Cleveland on one Sunday in the 2025 season. I don't know what Sunday it is yet, but now we got all our bases covered.
All right, go ahead. Die. Oh. Or not. He just disappeared. Fuck. All right.
Or not. There, that's it.